Finland looks like the finished product of modern life: clean streets, efficient services, safe cities, and a state that seems to work. But when you talk to younger adults across the country, a familiar sentence comes up again and again. It's not that I hate Finland, it's that I can't see a future here. The numbers help explain why that mood has shifted. In 2025, Finland's unemployment rate rose to 9.7%, and total hours worked declined. When job security weakens, every other cost becomes heavier. And in Finland, the baseline cost of what counts as a normal life is already high. Start with housing. In 2024, the median gross monthly total earnings of full-time wage and salary earners were about 3,611 euros, with the average at roughly 4,070 euros. On paper, that sounds comfortable. In practice, it collides quickly with reality. In the Helsinki region, privately financed market rents are commonly reported in the low 20s per square meter, depending on location and building type. At those levels, a modest 45 square meter apartment typically lands around 950 to 1,000 euros per month before utilities. Larger units scale well beyond that. Buying does not automatically solve the problem either. Higher interest rates, tighter lending conditions, and a weak growth outlook all limit affordability. What makes this pressure harder to notice is that Finland rarely collapses loudly. It squeezes quietly. During the inflation shock years, wage growth lagged behind rising costs for food, transport, and everyday services. Inflation later cooled. Statistics Finland puts average inflation in 2025 at 0.3%. But prices did not fall back to earlier levels. Paychecks stabilized. Expenses stayed elevated. This matters even more because Finland is aging rapidly. In 2025, the population still grew, but only because immigration from abroad exceeded emigration and offset a natural population decline. Births remained lower than deaths. If that inflow slows while unemployment remains high, the system begins to feel calibrated for a larger and younger workforce than the country now has. Finland is not failing. It is becoming harder to justify, especially for the people Finland depends on most. Public finances are part of that pressure. In early 2026, the European Union opened an excessive deficit procedure for Finland after deficits of roughly 4.4% of gross domestic product in 2024 and a planned 4.3% in 2025. European Union reporting indicates Finland must present a corrective plan by 30 April 2026. When budgets tighten, the promise that the state will catch you becomes thinner, precisely when households feel most exposed. Finland's challenge is not a single dramatic crisis. It is a stack of smaller pressures moving in the same direction: weaker opportunity, high fixed costs, and a narrowing margin for error. First, the economy has struggled to regain momentum. After the pandemic and the energy shock, growth remained weak and confidence fragile. Trade with Russia, once significant for Finland, collapsed following sanctions and geopolitical rupture, shrinking an export channel in a country heavily reliant on external demand. That loss shows up in layoffs, hiring freezes, and a labor market where stability increasingly feels exceptional rather than normal. Second, Finland's welfare model, long a national strength, can feel psychologically expensive when incomes stagnate. High taxes and mandatory contributions are easier to accept when careers advance and wages rise. When earnings stall, the same system can begin to feel less like insurance and more like a fixed cost. Third, the housing story is no longer just about rising prices. In 2025, government-subsidized rents increased clearly, while non-subsidized rents in Greater Helsinki edged slightly downward. That looks like relief at first glance. In reality, it reflects households already adapting, downsizing, sharing, or moving farther from employment centers. The market does not correct itself painlessly. Households absorb the adjustment. Energy adds another layer. Compared with many European Union countries, Finland even saw household electricity prices fall during parts of 2025. But households do not experience energy as an annual average. They experience it as winter, months of darkness when heating is not optional. Any volatility matters more, because there is no season where energy use can simply be switched off. The fiscal backdrop reinforces uncertainty. Finland faces European Union pressure to reduce deficits, while simultaneously debating tax changes and higher defense spending. When a country tries to stimulate growth and tighten finances at the same time, households feel the contradiction, less certainty now, in exchange for promised competitiveness later. The result is a very specific lifestyle taking shape: financially disciplined, socially quiet, increasingly cautious. That can feel like stability until you are in your late 20s, thinking about starting a family or making a career leap, and the message you hear is patience. In 2025, Statistics Finland counted an average of about 278,000 unemployed people. For a country of Finland's size, that represents a large number of households living one contract renewal away from serious stress. When life becomes hard to justify, people do not always protest. They leave, or they stop committing to the future. Population data illustrates the balance Finland is walking. In 2025, 50,060 people moved to Finland from abroad, while 15,208 emigrated. Net migration remained positive and large enough to offset the natural population decline. But the direction matters. Immigration fell sharply from post-pandemic peaks. Finland's population growth now relies heavily on a single channel, and that channel has narrowed. This matters because the welfare state is ultimately a numbers equation. Schools, hospitals, transport systems, and municipal budgets depend on how many people are working and paying into the system. If the working-age population grows slowly while unemployment stays elevated, governments face limited options: cut services, raise the burden, or borrow more. None of those outcomes makes the country more attractive to a young professional deciding where to build a life. There is also a quieter competitive issue: social access. Finnish society is famously private. That can support trust and safety, but it can also slow integration for newcomers without strong language skills or established networks. In a mobile labor market, countries compete not only on wages, but on how quickly someone can feel at home. Then there is climate. Finnish winters are not just cold, they are dark. Medical research treats seasonal affective disorder and broader seasonal mood variation as real phenomena in high-latitude countries. Finnish studies show that seasonal changes in light affect mood and energy levels for a substantial share of adults, even if only a smaller subset experiences clinically severe symptoms. Essential workers feel these pressures early. Finland needs specialized staff, particularly nurses and doctors. European Union labor market information notes that many continue to work abroad, often attracted by higher pay. When this happens, daily life erodes in small ways: longer queues, fewer appointments, less flexibility. So the paradox emerges. Finland ranks high in international quality of life comparisons, yet everyday experience can feel narrow. Work hard, pay a lot, stay quiet, endure winter, repeat. For some, that is stability. For others, it feels like a cage. When governments respond to fiscal strain with benefit cuts or spending restraint, the pressure concentrates on renters, families, and the unemployed, the very groups deciding whether to stay. That is why the phrase "nobody wants to live in Finland" circulates online. Not because Finland is unsafe or dysfunctional, but because stability increasingly comes at an upfront cost, while its rewards feel delayed and uncertain. For high earners with established networks, Finland can feel close to ideal: safe streets, reliable services, quiet neighborhoods, and nature within reach. For many others, the deal is tightening. You contribute to a system under demographic strain. You compete in a job market weakened in 2025. You try to build a life in a city where space is limited and rents remain high relative to take-home pay. You absorb winter costs, energy, transport, time, and winter psychology as darkness reshapes routines and social life. And in the background, the state is balancing budgets under European Union scrutiny while promising reforms and growth later. This is how a wealthy country becomes emotionally unaffordable. Finland does not need a disaster to lose momentum. It only needs a few years in which young adults decide the safer option is to leave. A teacher relocates. A nurse signs a contract abroad. A software engineer follows friends to a larger market. Each decision is rational. Together, they are hard to reverse. If Finland wants to change the mood, the deal has to feel simple again. Work must lead to progress, not just endurance. housing must offer a path forward, not a permanent constraint. And public services must feel as if they are strengthening, not thinning. The facts are clear. Median gross earnings around €3,611 per month in 2024. Unemployment at 9.7% in 2025. Public deficits above the European Union's 3% threshold. Population growth continues only because immigration still outweighs natural decline. That is a fragile foundation for a country built on generous public services. When the next graduate looks at Helsinki and sees €1,000 rent, a cautious job market, and years of fiscal tightening ahead, the calculation becomes brutally practical. Is this where my life accelerates, or where it slows down? Until that question has a convincing answer, the reality remains. People do not hate Finland. They just hesitate to build their future in a country where the defining virtue increasingly feels like endurance.